I think it's finally time for a little story time about why I dropped my best friend. Just to let you guys know, me and this girl were friends for like 5 to 6 years. Last year, my sophomore year in college, something traumatic happened to me and affected my entire life. I was being affected emotionally and mentally. I reached out to her to tell her what I was going through. I opened up to her and no one else. Me and her are both in college. We go to different colleges, but we live in the same hometown. So whenever we were home, I messaged her to try and hang out. But obviously there were times where we couldn't because we were just both so busy. Well, when I opened up to her about what was going on, I asked her if I could see her. I told her I wanted to go to the house. She told me that she was out of town and that when she gets back, maybe we could do something. She told me she was out of town. Why the fuck would I go out of my way to message her, hey, are you back? Like, when are we hanging out? No, I told her this is happening in my life. This is how I'm feeling. I want to see you. And her response was, I want to see you too. I'm out of town. So I sat back and waited for her to text me when she came back in town. I was constantly checking her Snapchat location, watching her private stories, and every single day for like 2 to 3 months, she was hanging out with her boyfriend every single day. Every day. Always with her boyfriend, which, like, I get it. Some girls want to be glued to their boyfriends. Trust me, me too. But I also like to make time for my friends, especially my best friend. Well, anyways, once I saw that she was hanging out with him every day, not reaching out, to me, it felt like she didn't care. So what did I naturally do? Stop talking to her. I stopped reaching out. Once I stopped reaching out, guess what? I never heard from her. Ever again. Ever. Fast forward, months later, I made a TikTok about it. Not about the situation, but I posted a TikTok with a picture of myself saying, we don't hang out anymore, we never see each other, and swipe. And it's like, which is weird because swipe, and then it was a picture of me and her. She was my best friend, I loved her so much, I would do anything for her. That was the TikTok. After I posted that, boom shakalaka, she decided to fucking text me. She texted me this whole paragraph saying like, hey, I don't know if you're consumed by all the attention you're getting, but like, I'm just confused on what that post is about. Like, you ghosted me, like, blah, 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 blah. And I'm sitting here like, am I fucking delusional? Am I delusional? I'm sitting there, I'm with my boyfriend, we're eating, hello, date night. I text her back and I'm like, I don't really think you were there for me. When I needed you the most, you weren't there. I had other people who weren't my best friend doing things I thought you would do as my best friend. And she was like, oh, well, that's a little bit awkward considering you left me undelivered on Snapchat. And I was like, girl, I unadded you. You didn't notice that I unadded you? Hello? You didn't talk to me for 2 to 3 months? Good morning? I'm going back and forth with her and I'm like, I don't think you were there for me. I don't want to be in this friendship anymore. She goes on to tell me, well, I'm sorry, ... I'm sorry that you got sucked into your own world and forgot about reality and the fact that I have a life outside of yours. Oh, bitch got me fucked up. When I read that, I was like, oh, okay, good morning, I'm up, let's get it. I'm like sitting there with my boyfriend. I'm not gonna lie, like, when I get mad, I cry. I was like, because no fucking way you just said that to me. Like, no shit. You have a life. I've seen you live it every day with your fucking boyfriend. Anyways, that kind of caught me off guard and her attitude completely changed in the text messages. She was like, oh, I'm glad I dodged a bullet. I hope you can find other friends at your disposal. Oh, girl, okay. Good morning? Good morning. She was like the only friend that I had. The fuck do you mean get friends at my disposal? You were my best friend, ho, and you weren't being a best friend. The fact that she said she dodged a bullet, bitch, I dodged a bullet. You're missing out. I was there for you. I loved you. I would do anything for you. That's how I lost and fell out with my best friend. I blocked her on everything. TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, text message, goodbye. I'm not gonna lie, like every now and then, like I'll think about her and then I have to slap myself back into reality and be like, bitch, stand the fuck up. She was not your friend. She was, and then she chose her boyfriend over you and just didn't give a fuck. I need to stop relying on friends to do things that I feel like friends should do. Like, I was going through it. Like, I'm not even being dramatic. Something happened in my life. It's still happening. Still get emotionally and mentally, what's the word, like, unstable? Maybe not unstable, but like, you know what I'm saying? I want to end this video saying that I don't hate my ex-best friend. I mean, yeah, obviously here and there I miss her. She was a really, really important person in my life, but I'm glad that I have friends who support me, love me, are always there for me. They keep me stable, for real.
This is the story of how I got scammed by a sugar daddy. I just want to preface that I was in college when this went down. I am no longer this dumb. So I used to work at a small bakery cafe. I used to work as a waitress in a small bakery cafe. And of course, over time, you start to see a lot of regulars come in and you develop like a friendly banter with them. So I started to notice that this older man, like maybe in his 60s, started to frequent my shift a lot. Only mine. Let's call him Joe. And of course, your girl liked her tips, so if Joe would start a conversation with me, I would participate. But then after a few shifts like this, I started noticing that the tips were getting bigger and bigger. He would always want to give me the checkbook directly, like to look me in my face and know that it was from him. So one day, he's sitting completely alone. I finished serving him, and he had left me a $50 tip. He would start coming in during my shift and only ask for me. And I felt like maybe it was for a specific reason, but you know, like I'm a broke college girl, I'm loving it. If somebody got to his table first, he would literally ask them to switch with me. Coincidentally, I was dating someone at the time and he was not happy about this. So Joe knew that I wanted a job, particularly in an office setting, because he had asked me many times about it. So Joe comes in one day and he's like, my friends are opening up a real estate company in the area and they need a receptionist. I would love to get you the job. So of course, I'm like, hell yes. So he says, okay, take my number and I'll take yours. I'll let you know all the information. Clearly, my first mistake, but trust me, I make so many more. Go to part 2. Got scammed by a sugar daddy, part 2. So I get a text from him asking to meet up to talk about the position. Meet up? Why? And yeah, I'm really weirded out, but at the same time, I've been in this job since high school. I want out. So anything that's gonna get me there, I'm gonna look into it. But I'm not completely stupid. I'm pretty dumb, but I'm not a total idiot. So the person that I was dating at the time was gonna be like in the background, like across the street while I met up with this man. So meetup day comes and it's broad daylight at a coffee shop across from my job. So Joe pays for my coffee, we get to talking, and then he hands me an envelope. And while he's handing it to me, he says, this is because I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard work. You've been so amazing, and he's just going on and on. So after a while, I'm like, okay, so are we gonna talk about the job? And he's like stalling. It's like, yeah, we're gonna talk about it. Don't worry. Like, it's not gonna be started for a long time. They gotta build the building, but I'll let you know. Why on earth am I here then? So then he starts talking about how he is so super into photography. And I'm like, okay, cool. He takes out his phone to show me pictures that he's taken himself. And I am like, there's no way that this is happening right now. It was so blatantly obvious that these pictures were taken straight off of Google Images from like the 80s, because every single one was so pixelated. He like literally screenshotted them. That's not even the weird part. So I'm like kind of going along with it. I'm trying so hard not to bust out laughing. So I'm like, wow, these are awesome. These are so cool. But I can't help but notice they all have a common theme. Of course, they are all women, and every single woman has their hands like in a position like on their face, near their face. I could tell it was like a thing for him. So he's like, yeah, I would love if you could like model for me. Nothing weird, nothing weird. You just made it really weird. But he just keeps repeating, nothing weird, nothing weird. So at this point, I'm ready to get the hell up out of there. Then he goes, I can pay you $1,000. You could even bring a friend. Again, nothing weird. This is weird. So I opened the envelope. In there is more money than he's ever tipped me. And then, of course, it's even more complicated. Go to part 3. I was scammed by a sugar daddy, part 3. So I keep going to work as usual, but I just so happen to take a shift that I don't normally work. Tell me why. Joe is there with a woman who I find out from my coworkers is his wife. He's being so affectionate with her. He's holding her hand, kissing it, reaching over, laughing. And of course, he sees me and pays me no mind. So I'm back to my regular shifts, and he's there one day and he asks me what shifts I usually work. And I tell him because a girl gotta make her coin. But now I've figured out that there is no job. Months go by and I do not see him. So he comes in one day with a friend who just so happened to be a man. Everything's totally normal, nothing weird, no pun intended. And they leave. About like an hour or two later, he comes back completely alone. He comes over to me and he's like, there's something I want to talk to you about. And I'm like, okay. He has like really nervous energy. So he starts off by saying, you and I are friends, right? Like we're friends, we're cool. And I'm like, yeah, totally. So he's like, I just wanted to tell you about this cool thing I've been doing lately. I have this friend and she does dance recitals. Amazing. Her and I are like really good friends. And then he pulls out his phone to show me a picture of her. The picture, I kid you not, is of a young blonde girl in like her 20s. And he's behind her like sensually, like holding her. And then he swipes while he's explaining, and it's of her sitting on his lap. The girl was young enough to be his daughter. Reminder, he's married. He's like, yeah, she does it for me. For you? And he goes on. He's like, I can pay you $3,000 cash. I'm sorry, what? And now, like, I feel like he felt my energy shift. So he's like, but like, don't tell my wife. Don't tell my wife. Like, she's really weird about these things. She doesn't understand. She gets a little bit uncomfortable. And I'm like, and so for those of you wondering why I did not tell the wife, I thought about it. Trust me. But I was not in a position to lose my job. And I would have. But I so wish that I had. Because then I get a text message from one of my best friends who also works there saying this. After he made that offer, I never saw him again. Thank God I don't work there anymore. But I do see him around from time to time, so best believe if I ever run into his wife, I'm spilling the beans.
They say it takes half the time that you were in a relationship to fully process it after it ends. But it takes me double or triple that time because I love to analyze the hell out of everything. So I dated 2 guys in college. One was Indian, the other was white. Neither was my person. We've all moved on, whatever. But I was talking to my friend last night and I was reminded of a specific incident with my white ex. This happened pretty early on in our relationship and I had these Ayurvedic pills that I was taking to boost my immunity. They were Indian pills formulated with all natural ingredients, and my mom had given them to me to take because I had gone back to college during the fall of 2020 when the pandemic was still pretty bad. So my ex-boyfriend saw me taking them, he asked me what they were, and I told him. And the first thing he said was, "Do you believe in that stuff?" I told him, yes, I do, and I really feel that incorporating Ayurvedic practices in my life helps a lot. But I could feel the air in the room changing and the tension building between us. Then he took the pill bottle and started Googling all of the ingredients to see if it was actually real. And he came to the conclusion that I wasn't because there was nothing in the first page of Google results that corroborated what I was saying. I think his exact words were, "There's zero evidence that this works, but we can agree to disagree." And I couldn't explain why I was so upset about this. I thought at the time that maybe I was mad he went through such lengths to prove me wrong. This, by the way, was something he did throughout our relationship and always really bothered me. But I knew even then that it went much deeper than that because of the immediate defensiveness I felt when he looked at the pills with suspicion. And now looking back, I realize why, because it was about way more than just pills. To me, it felt like he was attacking the ancient art of Ayurveda as a whole, which in turn was attacking my culture, my religion, and fundamentally who I was. I know it sounds dramatic, but something was just off about the whole situation. One of the big reasons our relationship ended a year later was because I felt like he never really saw me for who I was. I am, at my core, an Indian American woman. He didn't really see that part of me. And not only that, but he actively chose on several occasions to ignore or minimize it. And I think a lot of people of color do experience this when dating a white person. But I was 19 when this relationship started. I didn't realize that in saying yes to being his girlfriend, I was also saying yes to being his teacher. And it had become my responsibility to show and teach him who I was when I was still trying to figure it out myself. And recognize and deal with situations where maybe who I was wasn't being respected. None of this makes anyone a bad person. We all learn and grow. But at least now I know how to navigate that in my future relationships.
was 17, I was homeless because my mom went a little bit nuts and lost the house. I was homeless. I had to like find jobs that would like suffice a living, like pay my car bill, pay everything. Like, worst part about this is I was not allowed to work during high school because literally my mom didn't want to drop me off at my job. She never had time. So I never learned financial literacy or like the value of $1. When my aunt started asking for $50 in rent, I was like, what do you mean $50 in rent? Like, that's my phone bill. Like, what the fuck? Oh, babe, that's like nothing. Like, I literally wish I could pay $50 in rent now, but now I pay $1,500. So basically, I ended up working at this barbecue joint that sucked so many balls, like literally sucked so many balls. It was this old man that owned it, and he literally only hired me because he said I was pretty and I'd bring in traffic. For being like, tell that to your wife, you fucking creep. Literally get out of my face. I literally worked with the most insufferable ass bitches at this job, other than my bestie Tegan, which was actually fun because I got to work with my best friend all the time, and like that was chill. Anyways, this one girl I worked with literally hated me because she found out I wore tampons on my period, and I'm just like, what the literally what? Anyways, while I'm working there, this girl's like making my life kind of like a living hell, and I went to a concert one night, and while I'm leaving in the back-to-back traffic that is when you exit a concert, like that's every time, look at the car ahead of me, and there's this girl that jumps out of the front seat and then starts pooping literally in front of all of the traffic, and I'm like, what is this girl doing? To my absolute dismay, that's my favorite word in the world, it's the girl that was making my life a living hell. I can't wear tampons, but you can poop in the middle of a concert outside with no toilet paper. I watched her pull her pants up without any toilet, just full on pulled her pants up. The people I was in the car with were literally cranked, so when I was like, that's my coworker pooping outside, they were just like, yeah, like that's cool. And I'm just like, no, like you don't get it. My coworker is pooping outside. I'm like watching her poop. Like a Gemini through and through, so if there's any physical way for me to stir the pot in any form or fashion, I am going to do it. The next time I saw her at work, she was really pissing me off, so I was like, did you have fun at the concert the other night? I feel like you might have had fun at I saw you when I was leaving. Did you have fun? She was literally just responding and was like, oh my gosh, I did. I just don't really remember the whole night. And I'm like, yeah, I saw you pooping outside of your car. Denied it, but when I looked at her Instagram, she was wearing the exact same outfit as the girl who was pooping outside of her car. So it's confirmed and definitely true that she was pooping at the concert. Anyways, I ended up quitting that job because they literally had cockroaches and rats and creepy chefs, and I was over it.
My boyfriend dumped me the day after he proposed. Too bad, I've got the kidney that he needs. Story time. So my boyfriend Steve and I had the perfect relationship, to the point where people said that we were the reason that they believed in love. Now, one day, Steve ended up getting into a horrific car accident. Some drunk driver was driving the wrong way up a road and hit Steve. Obviously, I ran to the hospital as soon as I had heard what had gone down. He went into theatre and they operated on him for 12 hours. And they actually said that if they hadn't have got to him when they did, they would not have been able to save his life. He came out of theatre, they said it had gone really well, but eventually he would need a kidney transplant. So we're all sat there, me and Steve's parents in this waiting room thinking, well, at least one of us has got to be a match. We started testing that day. And lo and behold, it came back, strangely enough, that I was the better match than Steve's parents. Like, cool, great, when am I being cut open? When can I give my guy a kidney? But the doctors made it very clear that they would not be operating on him anytime soon. They needed him to get a lot more strong. So they came up with a timeline that they would operate on Steve within the next 6 months. So now we're going to fast forward a little bit. Said that the accident made him realise that I was the one, that he wanted to marry me. I was the love of his life. So Steve proposed. The next day I go meet my girly pops, I go show them the ring, and I come home. I am expecting to see my near-death boyfriend lying on the sofa, resting, recuperating, because, you know, he did get slammed into by a drunk driver only a few weeks ago. But no, apparently Steve's got better things to be doing. At this point, I'm really starting to panic here because Steve can't drive, he can't really get around that well on his own anymore. So I'm running around this house, stressing, trying to find my Steve. I decide I'm going to call Steve's parents because if anyone's going to know where he is, it's probably going to be them. So his mum answers, Sandra. Tell me for why. Sandra answers the phone and she is screaming at me. Like, Sandra, please call me tits, you're going to take someone's eye out. Proceeds to then tell me that Stevie boy does not actually want to speak to me right now. And this was the exact moment that my heart sank. The next few days I spent barely sleeping. I was tossing and turning all night. I had cared for this motherfucker whilst he was sick. And let's not forget, I offered him my bloody kidney. Absolutely baffling baby from Steve. Finally, one day, the phone rings. Beep, boop, beep. It's Steve. He goes on to explain that even though the accident had made him realise that he did really, really love me, he didn't actually want to spend the rest of his life with me. And then the insults started. This man is calling me all sorts of names. He's calling me lazy, unattractive, good for nothing. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing. My guy literally asked me to marry him yesterday. But at the end of all of this, he then goes on to say, but can we still be friends? Fucking no. Then the line dropped. He asked if it would still be okay to have my kidney. Call me old-fashioned. No ring, no kidney.
Somebody stole my phone. Never going anywhere again. If you're a girl, you should know this, but like whenever you meet a new girl, it's like they're immediately your best friend. Doesn't mean that you have to love them and tell them everything. It's just more of like a public setting thing. You don't treat them like trash. Like you'll be like, oh my gosh, hey, what's your name? I'm like, I'm at this hangout and there's other girls that come and they start being so mean to me. They literally took my phone. But at least this combo, it did my skin right. But let me explain what happened. So these two girls come, they're friends, and like they get there and immediately they were like kind of off. Like their vibe towards me was like they just like immediately hated me. And that's fine, you know, I'm not saying that everybody has to like me. But then they started making these like snappy comebacks to every single thing that I said. So every time I talked, they would just like come back. Well, actually it was just this one girl. So me and the boy I was with were just texting and being like, what the heck is going on? Like everybody could see like she was like coming at me. So eventually we just left the room and I left my phone in the other room because I was having a good time. Like I wasn't like worried about going on my phone. And then we're all separated into another room and then we're like, okay, let's go like check up on them. We come into the other room and my phone is just not there. At first I was like, joke's over guys, like where's my phone, you know, like I was just like whatever. These people denied having it, so I just left the room because I was so aggravated. And I'm not an angry person, like I'm just not. I don't get angry at people. Because when I came back into the room, and guess what they did? They put my phone case, okay, so I had left my phone charging in that room. They took my phone case and like threaded the charger through the hole, but my phone was not in it. They were obviously just trying to play like a haha, like they were trying to get on my nerves. So I left the room again, then I came back and my phone was there, so I just took it and I'm like, okay, whatever. Like it's not worth it because I'm never gonna see these girls again. I also didn't say anything because there was nothing to be resolved. Like I didn't do anything. Like the second that I got there, they just did not like me and I had never heard of these people. They definitely did not know me. But this isn't the full story because then also like they were there for hours and they were literally trying to get the host to kick me out. The persons whose house it was, I was asking to stay and they were trying to get that person to like not let me. I ended up staying, they ended up leaving. I'm using the Bare Minerals powder. So obviously I grabbed my phone and we went back into the other room. Like we were all completely split off into the other room. We did not bother speaking to them, talking to them. When we came back into the room, the girl who was being rude to me was like flicking me and this other dude off. And the guy asked, is she flicking us off? And I was like, yes, she is. Like I literally said, yes, she is, because she is. And then she goes, I don't know why you're talking. I was so baffled. Never met this girl before, mind you. Like I didn't say a word to her. She just immediately started like trashing me. And guys, I love meeting girls. Like when girls come to the places that I'm at, I've never met them, I usually make a new best friend. Like that's how I've met a lot of my really good friends. So when this happened, I was like actually sad. Like not because of what she was saying, but I was like, oh my god, like I thought I was gonna make a friend. And it low-key ruined the night because we were stuck just like sitting in another room the whole entire night because we didn't want to go in there and like have to deal with that attitude. But even when she was like, oh, like I don't know why you're talking, I was like, oh, like I was just answering his question. Like I was actually trying to like back myself up a little bit and like not have some beef with this girl. But I just want to know if you guys have ever experienced anything like this because as a girl, usually like we're a team. Like this has never happened to me or any of my friends before. Like we all talked about it. We were like, yeah, like every time you meet a girl, they're on your side. Like when she first got there, I was literally defending her about something because something had like happened with other people and I was like, oh yeah, like, and she literally came back at me with the most snarky response. And that stuff can all be backed up by saying like, oh, she was just having a bad day. But then she took my phone. Like, I'm not making excuses for that. That's literally just weird. And I would sound a lot angrier because genuinely yesterday, like, I was pretty mad and I was, like, ranting about it. But, like, it's over now and I've ranted about it to so many different people that, like, I'm just like, okay, like, it happened. And there was two guys there that were, like, entertaining the other girls, so that's why they were there. And we all have low moments, so I can't act like she's just, like, a terrible person because I don't know. All I know is that taking somebody's phone is, like, actually insane. Is it just me or does this makeup look amazing? Okay guys, thanks for watching. There's probably so much more I could have said about that situation, but I'm not gonna, no. Love you guys!
Right babes, I went to boarding school and I've just sitting here thinking about this story that I never told you that you need to know because it's just so funny. So basically, every single day me and my friends would go on the bus to school and we look outside every single day. There was this cracking park. I'm talking everything under the sun, you know. I love to park. I'm gonna say it here, I still go in one now, I can't lie to you. I love a park. So every single day we were just sat on the bus like mesmerised by this park and dreaming, you know, what it would be like to play in the park. To be honest, it was the highlight of our lives. So we all decided that, bloody hell, I took it too far on the I took it too far! We all decided that it was our mission to be able to go play in this park one morning before school. But of course, the one thing standing in our way was our house mum, Sue. She was terrifying. I was scared for my life. It's like if we got found out that we went to this park, heads would roll. We'd all be kicked out. It would be a nightmare. So one day, me and my friends came up with this plan that basically we tell Sue that there was something going on at school and we had to be in school early, very early one day. We thought we were geniuses, like, this is amazing, we're so clever. So the day had finally arrived. It'd been in the calendar for 2 weeks now. Was we all pooping our pants? Yes, we were. I'm not going to lie about this. We were terrified. This was the naughtiest thing we'd ever done. So we leave mega early, okay? We're on the bus. We're looking at each other thinking, are we going to do this? Here we go. This is it. Could be the end of our lives. We arrive at the park. We have the best play in this park of our lives. I am feeling alive like I've never felt before. Now, at the time, a few of my friends were in Matilda. I couldn't be in it because I was too tall. I was like a giraffe. It was embarrassing. And they were all doing the swing that they do on the swing in the stage, on the stage even. And I just thought to myself, it's now or never, do you know what I mean? Like, I've got to give this a go. I'm never going to be able to be a child in the musical because of my silly height. So I will do the trick that they do on the stage in this part. Looking back, yes, I was a fool. So I'm rearing up my... Basically, it's like a Superman on a swing. So I'm rearing up, I'm ready to go. I pull back, I go. I'm in the air when all of a sudden... I only go and fall flat on my face, scraping the whole front of my face. I'm thinking, this is it, okay? Sue's gonna kill me. I'm not even worried about having a concussion at this point because she's gonna give me one. Number two, my mother doesn't know. The two women I'm most scared of, my mother and Sue, are gonna have my head. The plan's ruined. You know, we've got evidence that we were at the park. My face. So we're just thinking to ourselves, what do? You know, we've got to lie. We've got to make up a lie here, people, and quick time. So we did. We lied. I said I fell on the stairs. It was traumatic. I'm not a good liar, okay? I was shaking. I was thinking they're going to find me out. I'm a liar. I'm a phony. I'm a fake. A week passes, okay? We get a meeting with Sue. Meetings are never good, by the way. She sits us all down, us 5 that went to the park. You got anything to tell me, girls? I'm thinking, she knows. She fucking knows I was in the park. She said, I'm going to give you a second to tell me. She sits there in silence. We're all like this. Our palms are wet. She goes, I know you went to the park. Rose saw you on the bus. Rose was a fellow housemate. Rose saw you on the bus. She snitched us up the snake in the grass. So yeah, that taught us to never go to the park again.